Good evening, Brockton residents. This is Mayor Robert Sullivan, and I'm very, very happy to have two colleagues on the city council, two friends of mine, two great public servants. As you know, last week I had the Ward 5, Ward 6, and Ward 7 city councilors, and the week previous it was the council president and also the councilors at large. Today I have the Ward 1 councilor, Tim Cruz, the Ward 2 councilor, Tom Monahan. Councilor Cruz and Mr. Monahan, thank you for joining. And as you know, Tim and I came on the city council together 15 years ago, and Tom's been on there for 11 years, and just really great examples of what city councils should do. So, gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for hosting us, Bob.
Good evening.
I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy lives to come here. And how I start this every week actually is, unfortunately I have the sad news again to update. More loss of life here in the city of Brockton. Brockton residents that have passed. The number currently is 167 residents. And of course, our thoughts and prayers go to the departed and the surviving relatives, family, and friends. Current cases, current active positive cases, 2,278. The good news is there's been a decrease of about 300 people have recovered. So that's wonderful news. And of course, the total count, meaning the number of people in Brockton that have had COVID or currently have COVID, are 3,262. We know that the governor has mandated mask wearing across the Commonwealth. I had asked Steve Hook from BEMA to drop off some masks. We gave 5,000 masks to Brockton police to put in cruisers. So when they drive around the city of Brockton, of course, they have to give a gentle reminder. And if someone needs a mask, we'll be able to give them one. I also want to thank the governor and lieutenant governor for really helping the city of Brockton with increased testing with Quest and Brockton Neighborhood Health Center. And, Tim and Tom, you know how successful the testing site at Brockton High School is going right now. It started Monday. It's open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. You have to call in advance. The criteria is any essential worker in Brockton, anybody that's an essential worker, from the supermarkets to the pharmacies, anybody essential. Anybody that has been exposed to COVID-19 or anybody that has symptoms of the coronavirus, you need to call 844-483-7819. Again, 844-483-7819. It's a collaboration with Brockton Neighborhood Health Center and also Signature Brockton Hospital. You drive right up to 470 Forest Ave, the Forest Street entrance to Brockton High. There's one tent for the Neighborhood Health Center. There's one tent for Signature Brockton Hospital. Today, they did 180 tests. It really is a wonderful endeavor. So with that being said, again, I want to thank Tim and Tom. And you know what we'll do? We'll go Ward 1 first. Counselor.
Well, that's the way it should be. Right, Counselor?
Whatever you say.
The mayor's one of my constituents. So now let me ask you a question. What's the turnaround time on results for those tests?
Yeah, right now they're doing about 48 hours, which is really helpful. And I also want to say that Good Samaritan is doing their own testing on site at the hospital at North Pearl Street. So we really have lucked out with the increased testing. And the other thing, guys, and you know this, guys, as well, the Partners in Health program that the state has allowed Brockton to utilize. Of course, Evelyn LeBrun is the only nurse at the Board of Health. And I was able, through Mike Thomas, the superintendent of the schools, to get 8 other public school nurses to help us. So we had a total of 9 nurses helping us. It wasn't enough. It really wasn't for contact tracing. So Partners in Health has been a godsend for Brockton. And what they are doing is they're reaching out to anybody that may have been exposed within 48 hours of a confirmed patient. They're informing that person, quarantining, and then that person, he or she will self-monitor, self-assess for any symptoms. I spent an hour and a half today on a state telephone call. It was called the Haitian town meeting here in Brockton. And yesterday was the Cape Verdean town meeting. And again, it was just a wonderful hour and a half discussion with Partners in Health, the doctors there, and Brockton Neighborhood Health Center. So it was a win-win. But Tim, I know there's some things going on in Ward 1 and love to hear about it.
Yeah, we've got a couple of things. Of course, it's very difficult right now. It's really, how difficult it's been really for the last 2 years for the city council just to get its work done. With the elevator at City Hall being out of whack for about 16 months, we weren't able to have meetings. We were meeting remotely, and now with the COVID-19 thing, we're still meeting on the Zoom remotely. And it's been difficult because it's hard to legislate when you're not able to be together and talk things through. the Zoom has been a big help, and we thank PCA for the work they're doing to help us on this, but it has been tough. And just to get back to the whole, the masks that the police have and all, we have a problem here in the city in education, and it's not just the English second language groups, which is certainly, that's a problem. We need to help get the information. But in our own communities, we just, people they don't mean to not do the right thing. They just, something they can't see, they don't think there's really a problem. And it's so worrisome to go to Shaw's or to go to the supermarket and see somebody that, and they're good people and they just don't have a mask because they don't feel like they're in danger. Well, we need to get in their heads that it's not just their own danger, that they could be never show a symptom and be carrying this back to somebody in their family, somebody at work, that this is spreads like wildfire. And we just need to make sure people are wearing masks, staying hunkered down. It's difficult, but think back to what, as you always talk about, Bob, the greatest generation above us. Think back to the things they went through with World War II and the Depression. We're home with TV and the internet, and it stinks, but it's not as bad as these people have had it above us. So let's all do the right thing and just stay home. We'll start to get out the next few weeks. I'm excited for myself, and I think you, Bob, too. The governor today announced that the golf courses can open, and as long as we do the right things, that's a great thing. We'll get out into some air, stay socially distant. I'll wear a mask while I'm playing. Staying 6 feet away from the other golfers is not a problem for me because I'm usually in the woods and they're usually in the fairway. So it's not a problem for me. But we need to get exercise, but we need to worry about our neighbors. And in fact, speaking of neighbors, with 167 deaths in the city, that we could read a litany of names, but it's important tonight. I think there are a couple of people we should mention. Your predecessor from 30 years ago, Cal Pitaro, a wonderful man and a great mayor, passed away yesterday. And we send of course, his wife, Pat, had passed away years ago, but we send our thoughts and prayers with him. And our city clerk, Tony Zioli's sister, passed away last night. Tony's been great for the city, and I know his last relative, his last sibling, Casey Cambridge, she passed away from complications. She had been ill, but complications. And of course, Senator Mike Brady's brother, Bob, who was a great guy and a great servant in Avon. And, we send our thoughts to them, but those are just three of hundreds and hundreds of names, thousands across the state of people that we all know. So let's all just start staying home, hunker down. If we do it right, it won't be much longer. But I will now get to a few of the things going on in the ward. There is one major proposal that had come to us before the COVID-19, and I've kind of been holding off because I want to have neighborhood meetings on this. But the former Braemore Nursing Home, which is in terrible state of disrepair, and in fact, I know you looked at it for possibly housing some of the homeless that might have tested positive, but even the building is beyond repair. And we have a wonderful developer named Woods Partners who's looking to build apartments there. I'm hoping that maybe by the 1st of June, we can have some neighborhood meetings live. I'd prefer to have them live. But proposing 180 odd apartments, all high end, no subsidized housing, all market rate housing, 1 and 2 bedroom with a couple of 3 bedrooms. So these won't be impacting the schools, and it will be a much needed addition to the tax base, because obviously, Bob, as you get your first budget together, you're going to realize we're never in good shape financially, but with the taxes and motel taxes going south this last month, and our cherry sheet, our state funding to us next year is going to drop probably by 25%, I'm guessing, maybe even more. So everything we can do in the city to add to the tax base is more important than it ever was. So that's exciting. There will be a website. You'll be able to, I'll post that on Facebook and on social media. I believe they've got it up. The public will be able to look at it. I don't have the website in front of me. It just went live today, but the public will be able to look at it. And it's an exciting proposal. It will take a zoning change, which means the city council will have control over it, which is, and when I did meet with these people, before we even went to step 2, we talked about no subsidized housing and 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. which there are a couple of threes, but that's very few, which means, these won't be family laden. These won't be adding to the schools. These will be, again, high end. I've been to some of their other projects, as you have, and it's an exciting prospect. And again, we'll see. Most of the neighbors that I have talked to are excited about it, but everybody hasn't seen it yet, so we'll get there. And again, I hope to have live meetings fairly soon, maybe at the Hancock School, and be able to let the neighbors kick the tires, so to speak, and see what it's all about. But it's a very good development company. This is not a fly-by-night outfit. They're one of the largest in the country. And if anybody wants to go online and look up Woods Partners, WOODS Partners, they'll be able to look at some of their projects, and they're first-class projects. So that's an exciting thing. Probably the biggest thing that's going on right now. Although one sad thing, I think a lot of people may not think so, but I'm a traditionalist. The fair announced this week that they will be skipping this year. I believe the only other time they've skipped in the last 100 years, or over 100 years now, was 1918 in the influenza epidemic. So the Brockton Fair will not be happening this year. And again, being a traditionalist, I'm always a fan of the fair, and it's been a good partner to the city, I think. But there will be no Brockton Fair this year. So it saved Councilor Monahan and myself a few late night calls about noise, but for the most part, it's always been a good neighbor to us in the city. We're sad about that.
Yeah, I mean, Council, I agree. I mean, the Brockton Fair is a tradition. It's been generational, right? And but it's the right thing to do, and I do applaud the Carney family for making the call sooner than later. It's the right thing, and next year we hope that things will be back to normal, whatever that means. But you hit it on the head, Tim, in terms of Woods Partners, yourself and me, and Councilor Large Farwell and Council President Shirley Isaac. We took a tour of a project they did in East Walpole, and it was very, very impressive. You are a great city councilor in Ward 1. I live in Ward 1. Councilor Farwell lives in Ward 1. So, we had some concerns, but I think those concerns were put to rest. So it's going to make sense business-wise and really going to beautify that area. So thank you for that update. And you're a better golfer than you let on. I've seen you golf.
I don't know about that.
Well, the good news about, and I was on a call last night with Governor Baker, and I'm on a call Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then Sunday night from 8 to 10 with Mayor Walsh. Marty Walsh leads the call, those 4 calls we do. And the governor joined us last night, and he did talk about the golf courses. So as the mayor of Brockton, I spoke to Tim Carpenter today, who again is in charge of our parks and cemeteries. And DW Golf Course, the municipal golf course, will open up tee time at 7 a.m. this coming Sunday. Now it's different. You have to, as the council said, you have to walk or pull a cart. You will not drive any carts. You have to actually pay online, pre-register to get your tee time online. There'll be no food. The golf shop's going to be closed. The pro shop's closed. No food, no beverages. It's to get out there, social distance, get some physical activity. So I know, some of the other local golf courses opened up today, but out of abundance of caution, we wanted to take it slow at DW. But it's, it's a baby step. And you also hit it on the head, Councilor, about the budget, and a question that all 13 of the mayors last night had to the governor is, where are we? What's going to happen with local aid? The budget that was proposed is off the table. The Student Opportunity Act with Brockton finally was going to get $21 million. It was a game changer. 93 new teachers and paras were going to be hired. City school committee had voted on that. That's all put on hold. The governor didn't have an answer yet. He really didn't. It ran the gamut on talking about furloughs and layoffs. And we're not there in Brockton, but we have to think outside the box to figure out every dollar is going to count. So I'm looking forward to working with all the city councilors and the CFO, Mr. Clarkson, and again, Superintendent of Schools, Mike Thomas, and the school committee. We're going to have trying times ahead, but with City of Champions, we'll get through it. And again, I thank you for your leadership on the council, Councilor Cruz. I really do. And I thank you for your friendship.
One other group that's really worked well with us in the past and will be when we start to do the budget, our municipal unions are first-class people. And they know that we're going to be behind the 8 ball. And I know they'll work with us to do the right things as we get into, we're negotiating. I'm sure, as a council, we're not part of that. But, I know certain unions are in negotiations, but it's going to be tough. And those partners of ours know that, and they'll work with us, I know.
And you're right about that. So when the pandemic started, so for maybe about 2 months now, I've been having standing calls 3 times a week with all the health hospitals and twice a week with other nursing homes and once a week with the banks and once a week with all the unions, all the union presidents from 1162 to 144 to supervisors and patrolmen, and they're all online. BEA is something that the school side's talking to, and we halted negotiations to get through the pandemic, but they've all been great. We give updates, we share best practices. So I echo the sentiments, Counselor. Listen, we're all in this together, right? We all care about the community. We work for the community, and we want the community to rebound. So thank you for what you're doing, Counselor. And I'll open it up now to the Ward 2 Counselor. The ward that I grew up in, and my mom and dad still vote for this guy, Mr. Monahan.
That's right, and they better put a sign on again next year. Well, I just want to echo Councilor Cruz's sentiments about the city and what's going on as far as now it seems to be people are finally listening. I did ride around today and we saw people with masks on, which was a big change from 3 weeks ago when, the three of us were out there trying to get the supermarkets and stores to get the masks and gloves out of their parking lots to clean up, to get all this stuff that's infected out of the way. We were out there trying to get that information out there, and now they finally seem to be listening. Thank God. We had kids in the playgrounds. I remember that Saturday I was on the phone talking to you, and I drove by, there was 20 people playing soccer.
That's right.
And finally, all the efforts that we finally have got, I think everybody realizes how serious this really is, and I'm hoping that sooner than later this is over with. Also, we had a little bit of good news. As you know, Peter Gill from the Brockton Golf Association came to me, you and Tim, with wanted to donate some money and wanted to have an idea what health workers that they should give this money to, and we came up with the Brockton Neighborhood Health Center, and they are donating $2,000 to Brockton Neighborhood Health Center to the health workers there. So that's great, and thank you to the Brockton, Peter Gill and the Brockton Golf Association.
Yeah, that's so generous. It really is. And on behalf of my office, and I know the city council, we're very, very thankful. What a nice gesture. It'll make a big difference too.
Absolutely, she was thrilled. So for what's going on in the ward right now, obviously, I worked with you last week. We had a couple of meetings. 19 Main Street looks like that's going to get underway. I forget exactly how many apartments they're having there. I think it's like 21. It's going to be it's going to have commercial and apartments there. They're going to renovate and try to bring back the inside. It's supposed to be it's just gorgeous from what we've seen of the plans they have for that. That should be coming on probably by the end of the year. I would think so. Also, West Elm Street, the apartments down there, the luxury apartments, right? And they're I just talked to Anatole today, and in 2 weeks, he told me he'll be ready to show me the new model apartments. So that's another great thing for downtown. He also has the apartments over across from the fire station on Pleasant Street, which is fully occupied, and are also luxury apartments. So we have, again, another apartment building that's all luxury apartments come to the downtown. Other than that, that's all really that's been going on in the ward.
Yeah, no, I Council, I want to thank you because, 19 Main Street is a game changer. That thing's been sitting idle since Tim and I were elected to the council. And, it's an old building, right, Thomas Edison? Actually, that was one of the buildings he helped light up many years ago. But through your leadership as a ward councilor, really working diligently with the Brockton Redevelopment Authority and with previous mayor Carpenter, previous mayor Rodriguez, and now me, that's a win-win. It's really going to make a difference there, provide a service, and also a great tax base that's going to help the city. So thank you for that, Councilor. And you really have a lot going on in Ward 2 right now. There's a lot of development. One thing that I think we did well, as opposed to some other cities where they put the halt on construction right off the bat, we didn't do that. And I'll tell you, the Iron Workers Local 7 are excited because the old Ganley building, they're going to be working on, and there's going to be some real good things happening downtown and throughout the city, but it's a collaboration between the mayor and the city council, and working with all the partners from Rob May to Clarkson to the BRA and to Chris Cooney. So thank you for that, because for a while that might have been pushed aside, but you really pushed it to the forefront, and that's going to make a difference.
And also, I think we ought to mention that Timmy is really upset about the fairgrounds past not opening because his part-time job won't be there. He sits in that soak the bloat tank. So that's what he's upset about, really.
I just like to make fun of you. High and dry, high and dry.
Unfortunately, I get a good arm, so you're in trouble.
No, I think I want to go back to what Councilor Cruz was saying in terms of, information. You both have really been great since I took office just on January 6th. None of us would have thought on that day that we'd be dealing with a pandemic in the year 2020. And, I was joking the other day, when I first took office, we had a blackout, power, 7,000 houses were out. And then we lost water. One of the pipes broke on the east side, 5,000 houses were out. So it wasn't a good way to start it, but this was nothing any of us could expect. But we're coming together. You both have always helped me, and I appreciate your friendship, but also your service, because thank God you're both on the council, because honestly, you bring wisdom to the council, and also just some common sense. Being Brocktonians means something, and we joke and we kid around, but we all have a shared vision. We want Brockton to thrive, and it's definitely heading in the right direction. It is. So thank you for everything you guys are doing.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the job you're doing, Bob. You couldn't have thought of a worse start, but maybe it's not you.
Well, I don't know.
By the way, one other thing piece of good news that happened this week that I wasn't a part of, but I was great to hear the announcement, is that even though Stop and Shop on Belmont Street will be closing as a retail spot, they're going to remain open with a crew of workers there to fill their Peapod orders. So instead of an empty building on Belmont Street, we'll have a building still thriving. Won't be serving retail customers, but it will be serving their wholesaler, however they want to phrase that. So that's a great win for the city. Instead of having,
it's great, because when I spoke to the general counsel, they're based in Quincy, Mass. Ahold
Right.
is the parent company, and they were going to close it up. And I said, is there any way we can do something to keep something going there? We don't want another vacant building, especially on 123.
right.
And they came back and said, what about, virtual shopping, the Peapod? And I said, well, if you're going to hire more employees, and they said, yeah. I said, how many? They said 50. I said, I want Brockton resident preference for that. They said, okay. I said, how many vehicles? They said, quite a few. I said, insure them in Brockton so we get the excise tax. They said, okay. So I went in there the other day to do some shopping. You could still walk in at that point, and it was fully stocked. And as of today, I think it's not, you can't go in anymore. It's the virtual shopping, but they'll either deliver it door to door to your house, or you can drive up, but everything's online. But in the era of COVID, that's a real good thing going on. So it's a win-win. It really is.
Yeah, particularly for our elderly or anybody with pre-existing conditions to not have to get out and do that shopping. And I will kudos to all the supermarket chains, how they've done. I mean, I go up to Shaw's, and they've done a great job of making you social distance and keeping a small amount of people in the store and getting you in and out. But the idea of, if you have a pre-existing condition, not to have to go is a great idea. So that's a great thing, and I hope plenty of people are taking advantage of it.
And the last thing I just want to let you guys know is I've had conversations with Rob May on planning, Jim Plouffe, building commissioner, interim building commissioner, and Hank Tattaglia, chairman of License Commission. We need to get back to some type of normalcy agenda-wise for public meetings, planning board, conservation, license, ZBA. Again, it's going to be all the Zoom virtual technology, but we're teeing that up now. There's going to be some agendas happening this month, which is wonderful. And, if we don't do it, we're going to put ourselves behind the 8 ball. So just wanted to let you know that. I know you guys both have a lot of stuff going on, and you always show up to those meetings regularly, habitually, which is great. So just want to let you know it hasn't been forgotten. We're working on it. And is there anything else that we want to address tonight, or?
No, I don't think so. I just hope everybody stays safe and stay home.
Council Monahan, anything?
Ditto. I'm good with.
I think Council Cruz won with the backdrop. He's back in the homeland right there.
We've got Blarney Castle behind me tonight, so.
Well, Monahan, he's obviously kissed it a few times, Monahan. I know that. Hey, listen, thank you for your leadership, your friendship. God bless you all. Stay safe, and my best to your families.
You too, and thank you for your leadership. Be safe.
Thank you.
Take care.